Hello students, this is the ninth video of second module. So in the last video I was explaining you about the parallel port. So in this video we'll see how actually the serial port looks like, how the connections will be made in the serial port, and how the data will be transferred from the processor to the input device to the processor, or processor to the output device. So here we will be making use of shift registers. So the main function of this shift register is to convert the serial data into the parallel data. So we all know that in serial port, one bit at a time it will be transferred. So in order to make it fast, so all the 8 bits will be collected by the shift register and it will be converted into the parallel data, and it will be given to the data in register. And similarly, a data out register, it will be receiving the 8 bits together, and that 8 bits together it will be converted in back to serially, that is 1 bits at a time, and it will be transferred to the output device. So here the double buffering will be used. The double buffering used in the input and output paths in the figure is important here. So it is possible to implement data in and data out themselves as shift registers, thus obviating the need for separate shift registers. So however, this would impose upward restrictions on the operations of the IO devices. After receiving one character from the serial line, the interface would not be able to start receiving the next character until the processor reads the contents of the data in. So in order to avoid that one, we will be making use of the shift registers here. Same thing as we have seen in the parallel port. Here all the data lines will be connected from D0 to D7, and the address decoder and the control circuit, it will be consisting of all the addresses starting from A2 to A31, and the read write line, which will be specifying whether it is a read or write operation, and master ready and slave ready, in order to tell us that it is a handshake, that is asynchronous transfer of data is taking place. And also there will be a clock maintained, which is called as status and control clock, and here we will be making use of the receiving clock and the transmission clock. So two clocks will be maintained here in order to check whether the data is being transferred from the input device to the processor, or processor to the input device, at what time, and the clock cycles will also be maintained here. So a serial port is used to connect the processor to IO devices that require transmission of the data 1 bit at a time. A key feature of an interface circuit for a serial port is that it is capable of communicating in a bit serial fashion on the device side and in a bit parallel fashion on the bus side. So here you can see what is the difference of a serial and parallel port. So what is the main advantage of the serial port means, here we will be it will be able to communicate in a bit serial fashion at the device side and bit parallel fashion on the bus side. The transformation between the parallel and the serial formats is achieved with the shift registers that have parallel access capability. It includes data in and data out registers. The input shift register accepts the bit serial input from the IO device. When all 8 bits will be received, the contents of the shift registers are loaded in parallel into the data in register. Similarly, the output data in the data out register are loaded into output shift register, from which the bits are shifted out and sent to the IO devices. The double buffering used in the input and output paths is important. A simpler interface could be implemented by turning data in and data out into the shift register. So instead of going for the shift registers, we can directly make use of this data in and data out as the shift registers in order to eliminate the use of the shift registers. So this is how the serial port will work, and this is the main difference between the serial port and the parallel port, and the serial and the parallel port will be used for the communication between the IO devices with the processor over the bus. So next part is standard IO interface. So standard IO interface is in this mainly we concentrate on the extra bus which can be used on the motherboard in order to make the connections with other peripheral devices. So here processor bus, it has only limited connections, so only minimum number of peripheral devices can be connected over this processor bus. So in order to expand this, we are going to make use of the some standard IO interfaces, so which will be acting like a processor bus, and which will be allowing for more number of peripheral devices to get connected over this bus and to get served from this processor. Okay, so here in the diagram you can see a processor and main memory. Only these two units will be connected to the processor bus, and all other peripheral devices will be connected to the PCI bus. PCI bus is peripheral connect interface. So here this PCI bus and processor bus will be connected over a bridge. That is, the connection between the PCI bus and the processor bus will be done with the help of a bridge. This bridge circuit, it will be translating the signals and protocols from the processor bus to the PCI bus. So whatever devices which are connected over the PCI bus, they will be having a feel that they are indirectly connected with the processor bus, but actually the connection will be through the PCI bus and bridge. Okay, so here this PCI bus in turn, it will be consisting of the different types of peripheral devices. Either it may be the additional memory or SCSI controller, Ethernet interface, USB controller, ISA interface. So all this can again be used in order to connect the different peripheral devices and other memory secondary memories and other devices. So here whatever devices will be connected over this bus, they will be causing some delay in the data transfer between the processor and the devices whichever will be connected over this PCI bus. So I'll read out this. The processor bus is the bus defined by the signals on the processor chip itself. Devices that require a very high speed connection to the processor, such as the main memory, may be connected directly to this bus. For electrical reasons, only few devices can be connected in this manner. The motherboard usually provides another bus that can support more devices. The two buses are interconnected by a circuit which we will call a bridge, that translates the signals and protocols of one bus into those of the other. Devices connected to the expansion bus appear to the processor as if they were connected directly to the processor's own bus. The only difference is that the bridge circuit introduces a small delay in data transfer between the processor and the devices. So some delay, acceptable delay, will be there in between when the devices are connected directly over the processor bus and the devices when they are connected over this PCI bus. So we have some standard interfaces which can be used in order to provide the service to the other devices which wants connection to the processor. So mainly we are studying about three different standard IO interfaces. So one is PCI bus, the other one is the SCSI bus, and third one is the USB bus. So these three we will be studying in detail. So first, moving to the PCI, Peripheral Component Interconnect. It was developed by the Intel in the year 1993. The PCI bus is a good example of a system bus that grew out of the need for standardization, used for interfacing processor with the chipset. Very successful and is widely used, much faster than the industry standard architecture. So what are the features of this PCI bus? So this PCI bus, it implements the synchronous bus architecture. Synchronous bus architecture means it will be following some timing signals, and clock will be maintained, and during that clock period only the data transfer and communication between the devices has to happen. And also it is having 64-bit addressing scheme, and whatever data will be transferred from the IO device to the processor over this PCI bus, it will be transferred in a linear burst mode. That is, in a burst it will be transferred. All the data at a time it will be transferred, and it requires larger bandwidth in order to transfer large amount of data. PCI bus, it will be operating at 66 megahertz to 33 megahertz, and also it has the main function called as plug and play, by using which the devices can be connected over this PCI bus very easily. The connection will be made easier. Just when they are connected to this PCI bus, immediately they start working without installing any of the softwares. So that is known as plug and play method.